Hi everyone, and welcome to another professional sales e-learning video class. This is Tony B on the microphone, and now we're going to get a step closer to qualifying the customer. We're going to take a closer look at that stage and have a better understanding of what has to be done. So if I ask you, who said, "All I know is I know nothing"? Anybody guess who said that? What about, "I cannot teach anybody anything, I can only make them think"? How about, "True knowledge exists in knowing that you know nothing"? This is Socrates, and so we're going to look at Socrates in a different way. He also said, "Education is not the filling of a vessel, but the lighting of a flame." Wow, that is so cool, right? So here's a little comic about the Socratic method. We're going to look at the teaching method, not the sarcastic method. We'll be looking at the Socratic method. Great, so let's get started. So if we look at the Socratic method and what it is and why I'm going to use it, or why we should always use this in sales and how it works, especially for qualifying, right? This really clarifies all presumptions that you have about the customer's needs, and identifies and also eliminates all contradictions. And like Socrates, Mr. Socrates to you and me, he searches for the truth and that shapes beliefs. Well, it's the same thing in sales, right? We will look at inconsistencies and we will scrutinize them and we will clean them up and to see exactly what the customer wants. So in the basic method of the Socratic method, I should say the basic form, if I stand corrected, right? It's a series of questions formulating logic and fact, and also helps to discover the beliefs, or in this case, of course, the needs of the customer. It explores meanings, which is the customer needs. Socrates really was ahead of his time. Empathy for him certainly played a big part in everything that he did and everybody that he met. So this is why I'm using this method. So the secret of sales success: carefully crafted questions, right? A chain of emphatic questions helps you discover the customer's need, and it qualifies all customers at all levels. So the secret of sales success: understand passions and priorities, and through questioning, certainly you will have successful sales. You need to match own ideas and stories to meet the customer's needs. This is where it's really important to have a higher level of empathy skill. So, sales success is in how questions are asked. Not the questions themselves, but how they are asked. To start, you need to be very general. The questions have to be very, very general. You cannot pinpoint straight off the bat. You need to be really open, and this is all done while you are also looking at the customer's communication style and also their nonverbal gestures. So all of this is happening at the same time. So you need to be very general, or if you have to ask questions here. It's the goal is to get the customers to share information. This is what you want to do. Provide information that is tailored to the customer's passions and priorities and needs. And as we saw through the AIDA, to get to the desire. Right? We keep going. Need a clear understanding of the customer situation. You start with general questions to understand the big picture. Again, I repeat this, but this is crucial. If you don't do this, you can't go to the next stage. Try to combine, it's like trying to combine two halves of a jigsaw puzzle, right? If you try to put them together before both halves are complete, it's not going to be a completed jigsaw puzzle. You'll have an incompleted puzzle and you won't have all the answers. Similarly to sales, right? They won't fit. Again, to start, right? Associate needs to fill in all the essential pieces about the customer before sharing ideas or information. Before you even get into any stage of presenting or determining what their needs are, you really have to get this clarified. You need to qualify. So, we have to be aware of presumptions. General questions will help avoid errors. You know, like I said about the cowboy walks into the store, certainly just asking simple questions, you'll know right away if they're looking for anything that's got to do with him being a cowboy, or like the man that walked in to buy the watch, why is he coming into the store to buy this watch? So simple questions is what really gets rid of presumptions, right? Erroneous presumptions can break down the trust and make feel that the sales associate is not listening or doesn't care. All he wants to do is sell to the customer whatever he's got on hand. So again, beware of presumptions. May feel that the sales associate isn't listening, as I mentioned, right? Customer won't share information. And certainly, right, you need to use language the customers use. So you have to keep simple languages. This is where I told you to avoid pronouns, avoid adverbs, and avoid adjectives. Simple message clarity is key, right? And formal questions, always formality first. So be clear why you are asking a particular question. Customers always appreciate knowing why. It helps them certainly build trust and helps you to understand the customer's needs. Help plus benefit equals response. You always need to be very supportive by avoiding certain types of questions. I'll give you an understanding of what type of questions you ask, and open-ended questions are really, really key. But why questions sometimes puts people on the defensive. So if you have to ask why questions, make sure that they're later on in the actual qualifying, if not at the objection stage. So rather than asking, let's say, why did you do that in that way? It's a simple question. You might ask, what made you decide to do it that way? It is less direct and a little bit more formal. Also remember, purpose of questions is to help customers understand their situation a little bit deeper I should say, and it helps move the sales process along and discover their needs, and before you even getting to presenting the product. So here we go. So I will give you some types of questions. You can use these questions in your role playing. Absolutely, certainly there I go. I'm using adverbs. I'm not selling you anything, am I? Maybe not. Maybe I am. I'm trying to sell you something. I should not use those adverbs. But here we go. So you have questions that probe presumptions. This is at the beginning of the conversation that you're having with the customer. What brings you to our store today? What is the special occasion? When is your daughter's wedding day? Tell me, what reason would you purchase a product for your daughter? What have you seen today that you really liked? So these are typical probe questions that really remove presumptions. So these are initial question types. Then you have questions that clarify. How does this product help you? If I may ask, why would a bigger kitchen be important? Why is this important for you? How does this product relate to your present needs? And why would the color blue be important for you instead of any other color? Those are questions that clarify. Then you have questions that probe reasons and proof. Now you're getting deeper. Now questions are a little bit more probing. What would be a good example? What do you think are the most important safety issues or features? What style does your son like? What type of shoes will he wear with the suit? What outdoor activities do you do in winter? These are probing questions to look for reason and proof. Then you need questions about viewpoints and perspectives. Socrates really had a good understanding when it came to questions, and it follows these. This is basically one after another. So, what other style would your son like to wear? Would you explain why? Instead of saying why, you ask, would you explain why? If I may ask, why do you think this product is the best? How is this product similar to other products? And what would be another way to look at this product? These are questions about viewpoints and perspectives. Another stage of the Socrates or Socratic method is to probe for consequences. So you can ask questions about what would be the route you would take to Florida. All right? This can help you to decide if the customer, depending on which route he takes, could help them decide on what product to present. What would be the worst case scenario if you don't purchase this product? At this stage, you can keep asking because you can show the consequences if they don't buy this product. What safety features are most important for you? What winter activities would you be doing? And what would your daughter consider to be the most practical appliance in the kitchen? Again, these are all questions that are probing consequences. Consequences are possible trouble for the actual customer. Then you can also have questions about asked questions, right? So on this stage, try to answer your question. What are the reasons would this product, if this is the way you would ask a question on top of a question. So if a customer turns around and asks you questions, how do you answer that? To try and answer your question is always your best answer right off the bat. What are the reasons would this product be useful? Another question to question, what would you consider to be a good return policy? If they ask you, do you have a return policy, you can certainly turn around and say, what would you consider to be a good return policy? Another one is, why would the answer to your question help you reach a decision? Depending on what the question is. Another question that you can ask on a question that they've asked you is, would you ask that question if the price was lower? It's always interesting to ask questions on the questions that the customer has asked you. These are all typical questions or situations that the Socratic method comes into play and really helps you master this method. And again, all these questions help you build. So really what you're trying to do is build question on top of question, or I should say, your questions are built. That's not corrected. Your questions are built upon the answers of the questions that you give them. So start with actual, opening up questions to remove presumptions. And from there, you're building till you have a better understanding. At the end, if they do ask you questions, you can return and ask them other questions. So what does this method do? It really anticipates possible problems, and it makes you also think about two questions at the same time all the time. So you have a good understanding of what your next question is, but you're always listening to the customer depending on what they say. And it allows responses to guide you to the next question. Like I mentioned, this is the most important part of this method. It builds on that. It tells them that you're listening. If you're going to ask them a question that has nothing to do with what they just said, they're probably saying, well, he didn't even hear what I just asked. I just answered the question and he didn't even hear what I said, right? So it helps you not to draw conclusions and avoid offering a solution or presenting a product, and which is not clear or understood. So this is what the Socratic method does, right? These are 5, 6 types of questions that you need to ask to reach a better understanding of what the customer needs here. This is even before presenting. So we will do a certain exercise in class on a piece of paper. Write your name in module 5, and I won't show you this now. I'll bring this up in class so you'll see what's coming up. It will be called exercise 5.31. I put this up here to show you how we go from closed questions to open questions. So we'll bring this up in the next class. And also when it comes to Greek philosophy and mythology, we always look at the rhetorical triangle of ethos, pathos, and logos. Certainly this is something that always comes into play. I put this up here for your interest and to understand a little bit more about what ethics or ethos is ethics, emotion is pathos or empathy, and logos is the message or the logic. You can see this here. Ethos, know your stuff. Pathos, tell a story. Logos, structure your pitch. This is really what Socrates is all about and what he's talking about when it comes to having conversation and to get to know people. So I leave you with this, and with this video I will attach an exercise that we're going to do in class, and you can take a look at it maybe, and you want to start it, and we'll finalize it. So see you guys in class, and if you have any questions, probe.